I just got back from Vidcon 2018 and I took a lot of notes. I couldn't go to this conference last year and I really wanted to. This was my first year, and so I thought, since I have so many friends that are artists and create videos and do all kinds of creative endeavors, I thought I'd share some of the things I learned on some of the panels that I went to. I wanted to go to VidCon so I could learn more about making the best videos that I possibly can for viewers and the best ways to get it to them, and just, I want to do it right. So I thought, this is a conference that I should go to, and I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot. If you're here for my music, this is probably going to be a really boring video for you, so I would scroll to any of my other music videos. This one's a little bit more meant for artists and other creators, so you might get bored. The first thing on my list that I thought I'd share is somebody asked a really good question about when to release your videos. So, what days of the week are the best, how many a week, all this kind of good stuff. And the answer that they gave was really smart. They said to make it around your schedule so that you know that you will really do it. So if you commit to saying, like, I'm going to do 3 videos a week and they're going to come out on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you work all week and it's crazy and you're not going to have time to do it, then you're just not going to do it. So if you have a really busy schedule, maybe you want to commit to doing a video that comes out every Tuesday, so you have the weekend to work on it, and just commit to one. But if you have all the time in the world and it's like your biggest passion, then commit to one. One of the other things that they said is something that we talk about in the Creators Portal a lot, which is a mastermind group that I'm in that's totally awesome, is making your videos and your content really specific for one person. So if you're making a video, you want to have one person in mind that you're making the video for, because then it becomes the most authentic. So it's like you're making it for a friend. I actually do have someone in mind that I'm making this for right now. One of my friends that I know really wanted to go to this conference and she couldn't go. So I'm thinking about her making this video to share the information. So hopefully there's more people like her that find it helpful. Notice your triggers with your audience. So things that they respond the best to. So one of the speakers talked about how every time she brings up bacon, her audience goes crazy. They love bacon. So now she's really incorporated that into a lot of things that she does, because she's like, I want my viewers to really, enjoy what we're doing and what we're talking about. And if they love bacon, we're just gonna talk more about bacon, and we're gonna, incorporate it more. And so, some of her merch is like bacon bacon themed merch. I thought it was really cute. So whatever it is that you do, if there's a certain, topic that you bring up that really, hits well with people and they like it, do more of it, because the whole point of what we're doing is making things that our audience enjoys. So if you notice that they really respond well to something, to do more of that for them. The next thing that they talked about was gamifying your videos and your lives and just your whole your social media presence. If there's a way that you can make it into a game, people love it. And I mean, that's just kind of common sense if you think about it. Like, it's Mary Poppins common sense. You find the fun and snap, it's a game. So I think that's really cool. There's one that I already play when I do live videos where I play music live, and I love when people request songs, and I kind of make it into a game because, it's funny to me. Sometimes they'll request like the most random song in the world. They'll request like a Tupac song from like the 90s or something, and it'll work really well. And then sometimes they'll request like an Alanis Morissette, and it'll just totally bomb. And so it's like a funny game for me, at least, of like, you'll request a song and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's terrible. And then we all just have more fun. So yeah, I'm gonna think about that even more, of like more ways that I can gamify it, because like, why not make it even more fun for people? They talked a lot about video thumbnails. So this is something I've never really thought about for my own videos. I always pick, whatever I think the nicest thumbnail is that YouTube suggests. If it's me giving somebody a hug or smiling, I'll usually choose that one over, me looking like Torp. But I never really thought about making your own thumbnails and uploading them, and that's actually really important. And it's interesting that I never really thought about that, and like to this extent, until this conference, because I search videos all the time. Like I'm like YouTube's biggest fan, mostly for like how-to videos and stuff. Like whenever I need to learn something, I go straight to YouTube. And I'm really particular about which videos I'm going to click on, usually based on the thumbnails. And because if something looks spammy, if something looks really unprofessional, I won't click on it, because I'm like, I have a lot of time. I can't watch, a spam video. I can't watch, a junky video that they didn't put any time into. So I'm actually really affected by the thumbnails, and so something really important to think about. They kept talking about not making your thumbnail clickbait, and I really appreciate that they talked about that, because I hate when I click on a thumbnail that I think is going to be one thing, and then I open it up and it's something else, and it just wasted my time, and it's really annoying. So just don't do that. And that's just something to keep in mind, to make sure that your thumbnails are really accurate about what your video is about. And even if you do go down that line and you make this clickbaity thumbnail, it really actually is only going to hurt you in the long run, because part of the YouTube algorithms are about retention. So if people are clicking on your video a ton at first, you upload it and it gets like 10,000 clicks, but then within a minute of the video everybody leaves, YouTube tracks that, and you can see it in your own analytics, the retention. So if you have a really interesting title for your video and somebody clicks on it, they watch it all the way through, and it's a 10-minute video, that's great. That's gonna give you more impressions. YouTube's gonna deem it important and put it forward. But if you're getting 10,000 clicks, but then people leave right away, YouTube realizes that means that your video is really not accurate for what you say it is. So just be honest in your thumbnails about what your video is. This one's really hard for me. They talked about asking your audience for engagement. I don't like asking for a cup of water when I'm at somebody's house. Like I'm not like good at that. So especially if I'm doing a live video or any kind of videos, I don't like asking my audience like, hey, subscribe to me, hey, share this, I just like kind of want people to do it if they feel inclined. But they really talked about how you have to let people know what you need. And when I think about it that way, it doesn't make me feel so gross, because people who are watching you and following you, they want to help you. Like when I watch other broadcasters on YouNow or on Twitch, or my friends on Facebook who live stream, I want to know how I can help them. And if I'm just watching the video, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just like, oh, this is nice, or I'll comment like, oh, that's great. But I maybe won't remember like, oh yeah, subscribing to this will help them. Like, if I share this will help them. So I have to switch the way I think about things, and not making it out to be like, oh, I'm so demanding. I'm asking, please subscribe to me, please subscribe to me. Like it's really not that. It's just like letting them know like, this would be really helpful, and they're there because they want to support you. Anyway, long rant. Another thing they talked about was finding ways to include your audience in your content. And they pointed out a really cool video. Cesar Millan, the guy who does all the dogs, he's like the dog whisperer, he did a really cool thing where he had people submit video questions, and then he green screened himself in front of them, so their questions weren't just written in his video. He was on screen with them, and that's really cool because it's a fun screenshot for them to share, but just fun in general for them to see. I thought that was really clever. So finding ways to include your audience in, so that they're part of it. It's the whole point of why online is so fun. So I'm going to think about that, about more ways that I can include people. So this is another one that's really hard for me. They talked about how the camera can kind of suck your energy a little bit. So, everyone always talks about how the camera adds 10 pounds, totally true. But they talked about how it's really important to be yourself, obviously, but just to amplify it a little bit more, amplify yourself a little bit more, because when you're seen on camera, I never really thought about this, it really does, you know, bring your energy down. So you gotta pump yourself up a little bit more than normal. And, you know, that's something I gotta get used to too, because, you know, I can be kind of shy, so anyway. Another thing they talked about that I thought was interesting, I never would have thought about it, but because audience retention on videos is so important in algorithms to, you know, have your video be placed and, you know, possibly trend, is not hinting that the end of your video is coming. So, because it's true, if I'm watching a video and then they start saying, like, you know, oh, it was really fun having you guys here today, you know, I think I'm gonna go for a swim in the pool and then I'm gonna make some dinner. Like, I'm just gonna close the video because I'm like, oh, it's over. Like, they told me it's over. So they were talking about how surprise endings are kind of smart to do, because then your audience is gonna stick with it till the very end. And that helps your analytics and helps you place more. And I had no idea, and that's why I go to conferences like this, because I didn't know. So I thought that was smart. And they said to keep end cards to 20 seconds or less. And one of the big YouTubers on one of the panels was even saying how she stopped having an introduction at the beginning of her video because she notices that people don't want to wait through it. So when she watches her analytics, she notices that the videos that she had an introduction on herself had way less audience retention than the ones that didn't. So she's taken them off. Smart. Another thing that was said on one of the panels as a suggestion was using storyboarding for your videos. So if your videos have a little bit more of a story to them, a lot of mine are mostly music videos, so that doesn't always apply, but definitely for my web series, you know, I'm going to be going around meeting different artists all over the world and singing with them, seeing where they make music. It does need a storyboard, so I didn't really think about that. And you know, treating your videos like, you know, they're real film and television, and, you know, looking at your storyboard and making sure that every minute there's something exciting, that there's something worth watching, so that, you know, there's no like dead, boring space. So I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of people were asking about the recommended lengths for videos, and this really varied. It was more about your subject matter. So for things like music, my music videos, it's going to be the length of my song. About 2.5 to 4.5 minutes usually. They were talking about vlogs and beauty videos, things like that. Usually around 10 to 14 minutes is kind of the sweet spot, you know, and then gaming like an hour or more. So it really depends on what you do. And, you know, of course, if you want multiple ads, if you monetize your videos, then 10 minutes or longer is important. But if you're not, then just, you know, keep it to whatever, however long your video needs to be. In editing, they talked about the importance of keeping up pace. So if you say a lot, like I do, to make sure you're editing all of that out so that your audience doesn't have to sit through your or, you know, just keeping the pace up for everybody. So I gotta work on that. Another thing they talked about is using text and motion graphics to really get your videos to stand out. So this can be fun. You know, just to make it pop a little bit, make it more than just the video that you shot on your cell phone on your back porch, like this one. They also talked about a tool called Autoduct, which is apparently in Adobe Premiere, which is what I edit in, and I didn't realize that that was there. So if you're having background music, which you should have background music if it's a vlog, that's another thing they talked about, but just in general, music is important. There's a feature called Autoduct that when you have your voiceover, it'll automatically bring the level of the music down just a touch so that you don't have to go through the video and like lower it every time you speak and turn it up every time you don't. So I'm really excited to find that when I edit this video. So I thought that was a really cool tool. I thought I'd share that with you. Another thing they talked about is learning how to use your camera, and this is something I really have to spend a lot of time with. You know, right now I'm shooting on a phone, but I'm planning to get a really nice camera for our trip to Europe when we shoot the web series and we make all kinds of music videos. I need to know how it all works. You know, I can't be just having, you know, willy-nilly hoping that it's in focus, hoping that the lighting's right. So I have to learn about, you know, ISO and shutter speed and, you know, how to make the lighting really nice. So just doing your homework about things like that. They talked about lighting. They were saying natural lighting is so fantastic if you can't afford a nice lighting rig. Right now I'm outside. They talked about the golden hours. So an hour before sunset and an hour after sunrise, they said, are the golden hours for shooting outdoors, where the light is just nice enough that you don't have to do too much in post. If, you know, it's not too harsh, you know, it's not too dark yet. Again, about thumbnails, to make sure your thumbnail is attractive and a bright background, really contrasting colors. You can just check the color wheel if you're not sure what that means. Make sure you're showing strong emotion in the actual thumbnail itself, and make sure that your thumbnail is designed for a smaller screen, because it's important to realize, like, a lot of people are going to be looking at your video through their phone. So the thumbnail, you know, you're designing it on your computer or, you know, what, Canva or something like that. It'll look really nice real big, but what's it gonna look like this big? You know, you want to make sure everything can be read. And so they were talking about also trying to incorporate some of your branding into the thumbnail as well. If maybe you have a logo, or even if you just have like a color scheme that you stick to, or a font or a couple fonts that you stick to, you know, really making them stand out and nice and your own, but readable. This piece of advice was more for your general channel. So if you say you have a YouTube channel or a Facebook channel, even Instagram, now there's IGTV, which we learned a lot about, to try to keep it to either one topic or like a world of topics that make sense together. If somebody has a skateboarding channel, you know, they might not want to, you know, randomly throw in like videos of their turtle, or like, you know, or maybe once in a while, but like, you know, but if you're kind of consistent about what you're doing, they said that, you know, people will subscribe to you and keep up with your videos because they like what you're doing. But if you're all over the map, it's hard for people to, you know, want to stick with coming back to you because they don't know what they're going to get. So if you're really like serious about trying to make a channel that's, you know, has a lot of subscribers, a lot of viewers, just kind of pick sort of a lane, sort of a world. You know, it might make sense for the skateboarder to also do snowboarding, or like, you know, if they don't want to just do skateboarding, it could be like, you know, extreme sports or something like that. You know, there's the beauty, you know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, I only review lipsticks. It could be like the whole world of makeup, and then you could do, you know, clothing and shoes and all kinds of things like that, but just things that make sense in your world so that your viewers care about them. Just thinking about your viewers. So another thing they talked about is speaking to the camera like it's your friend, and that goes back to them saying, you know, how you should keep one friend in mind or one person in mind when you're making a video, because then it's really authentic and it's not just like, you know, you're nervous speaking up at a podium to a room full of strangers. It's like you're really just speaking to one of your friends. And another thing that they said that I have been having the hardest time with in this video right now, and you'll notice it, is to look into the camera eye and not into the screen. So here I'm looking at the screen, probably not that personable, but when I look at the camera viewfinder, or not viewfinder, the camera lens, that's a little bit more eye contact. So I keep trying to remind myself, look there, don't look there, look there, don't look there. But it's hard not to, you know, you're looking at yourself, you're like, oh, what do I look like? So anyway, they were saying it's important to try to look into the actual camera so that you're making eye contact with your viewers. It makes sense. I gotta live and learn. They were saying also to don't be afraid to fail, don't be afraid to make bad videos and put them out. That's how you learn with everything. I mean, I've made so many terrible songs, I've made terrible videos that I put out way long before I've been exploring this a little bit further. and that's how you get better. So, you know, I'm probably gonna look at this video in like a year and be like, Mary, this is terrible. Why, like, I can't believe you put this out. But this is how you have to get started. So Mary, who's watching this, you judgy Mary, don't judge me. If I didn't get doing this, then you wouldn't learn everything that you know right now. So just don't be afraid to fail and just make the bad video. Who cares? You can always take it down. Another thing they talked about was engaging the community that you want to contribute to. And this is, I think, so important. This is why I started a Facebook group. This is why I've started friending people that used to just like my page, because I want to be a part of the community. I don't want to just be like throwing things down and being like, I hope that the world sees it. It's like, you know, I want to be part of that world. I want to get to know them too. You know, be engaged, watch other creators, watch other artists, care about what they do in a real way. Because, you know, we're not rooting each other on, like, why should anybody root for us? That's the way I see it. Getting engaged, you know, commenting back on comments, finding ways to let people know that you're a part of the community and you care about them too. If you want to work with brands in the future, they talked about being brand friendly. And this, I think, is smart advice, but also be authentic to who you are. So I have some good friends that are really successful creators, but they're not brand friendly at all, and they have not changed to become brand friendly. And I think that's really important because they're doing what they love, and you know, they're not making anything awful. It's actually really adorable. They just swear a lot. But they're being true to who they are, and they'll find their own success, and they've found plenty of success. But no, brands don't really want to work with them much because it's not super family friendly. But if you do want to work with brands, you know, just keeping the swears out, you know, try to not to talk about anything like too, you know, violent or whatever, but usually that's pretty easy. If you do get offered a brand deal to endorse something, they were talking about, one, making sure it's a brand that you really, really, truly like. If you're, you know, vegan and Purdue Chicken wants you to promote their products, don't probably, because you're, you know, I understand it's like, you know, we all need money, but you're not gonna, your heart's not going to be in it, you know, so just if they want you to make a video about like how much you love chicken and you don't even eat chicken, you know, maybe they're just not the best partner for you. And if one brand's approaching you, probably another one's going to. But again, you know, everyone needs to pay their bills, I get it. But just trying your best to only work with brands that you actually really enjoy. And if you do get a brand deal, they were talking about the importance of reading all the terms, making sure you really understand what the deal means. I want to take it a step further. I wanted to raise my hand and say, pay a couple $100s an hour for one sit down with a lawyer to have them read it. It could save you so much headache in the future. I know really amazing entertainment lawyers, and if you go on narup.com, there's like a whole list of really incredible ones. I personally think that's really important because we understand a lot, but a real entertainment lawyer really understands the ins and outs of contracts better than we do. This is a big one that I know stresses out me. It stresses out a lot of my artist friends and creator friends, is how to keep up with all of the different social media platforms in a way that's not just like we're putting the same photo everywhere, which I'm totally guilty of. Totally guilty of. And one of the pieces of advice that I thought was really smart, and I don't know why I didn't really just think of this, is they were saying when you do some kind of creation, when you're making, you know, a video, or, you know, some people do art drawings, live, things like that, to use the same shoot to make a few different kinds of content. So let's say I did a music video. I could take the funniest moment, the blooper, and make that my, you know, my post about it on Snapchat or Instagram. I could make some fun behind the scenes photos or video for my Instagram stories or my Facebook stories. I can make a shorter clip of it for Facebook and have the whole thing on YouTube. I can make a funny GIF from a cool moment and use that for Twitter. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to get different content out of the same shoot. So, and that's really just to keep it interesting for the people who are watching it. And I always feel guilty when I put the same thing up on Instagram that I do on Facebook, because it's like, it's lazy, and like the people who are following me deserve better than that. You know, they deserve to, you know, if they're taking the time to follow me on Instagram, they deserve something different there. And, you know, so I'm going to do my best to make everything different. You can see the puppies behind me. Hi. They're so cute. That was actually another thing that they were talking about. Another thing they were talking about is including your pets in your videos. See if I can pet her. Hi. They were talking about, you know, if you have a cute animal or even a not cute animal, people love animals. I do. And to incorporate them in your videos, because why not? It's so fun. Everybody loves that. Oh my gosh, I have a whole other page of notes. This is insane. This one I was excited to hear. In one of the keynotes, they were talking about how YouTube lately is very series driven. And I'm really excited to hear that because I'm about to make a web series. So they were talking about how series are getting a lot of priority. So not just how-to videos and reviews and stuff like that, but if you're making an actual series, YouTube's really excited about that. So they're gonna help, you know, promote that and give it impressions and give it views. So that's kind of cool. This was something I didn't know, and I've actually been curious about for a long time. They were saying that the titles for your videos are front-weighted in terms of search. So if I were going to be doing a cover of, let's say, Ed Sheeran's Perfect, it would make sense for me to put the most searched words first. So instead of putting Mary B. cover Perfect by Ed Sheeran, right? Less people are searching for Mary B, unfortunately, right now than Ed Sheeran, obviously. So they were saying it would make more sense to title the video Ed Sheeran Perfect cover Mary B. You know, so it comes up higher in searches. So smart! I had no idea. Hi, baby. She's biting me. This was another one I thought was really cool and really smart. Matt Pat was talking about calls to action at the end of a video. And he was saying, one, to keep it really, really, really simple. So only suggest one thing at the end of your video for people to do. And he gave examples of some creators that at the end of their video they're like, subscribe here, and this is my video on this, and this is my playlist on this, and this is where you go to get to my website, and this is my Patreon. And, you know, no one's gonna do any of it because they're so overwhelmed, and that makes sense. I would look at that and I'd be like, I don't even know where to start. I'll think about it later and come back to it. And then I never will. So he was saying, have one call to action at the very end that's like, this is the one thing to do, and have the button be really, really big, the only thing on the screen, or if it's a subscribe button, a big arrow, so you're really only asking them to do one thing. He was also saying, if you're a new creator like me, not really new, but I'm new to this space, if you're new to doing this, it doesn't really make sense in the beginning to ask for subscribers. It makes more sense to tell them about a similar video that you have. I don't have any similar videos to this, so I'm just gonna say, if you want to, subscribe. But say this was, you know, me performing a song somewhere, at the end I could say, here's a similar video of me performing a different Adele song right here, go check it out. So it kind of creates a funnel so that people get to know you before they subscribe. Like, they want to see a couple of videos before they subscribe, but that also gets your watch minutes up. And that's really important for down the line if you want, you know, monetization or to grow your channel significantly. Watch time really matters. So in the beginning, don't ask for subscribers, but at the end, but when your videos are taking off more, or if you're making something that's really searchable, that's when you would ask for subscribers. I thought that was cool. Never would have thought of that. Another thing Matt Pat talked about, which I thought was really interesting, was he was saying how if you are monetized and advertisers are deciding what videos to put their money behind, doing things on topic with things that are being searched at that moment, because it makes sense. They want to be, betting their money on things that are going to get more views. So if it's Halloween and you have a Halloween video, that's really helpful, and not to put it up on Halloween, but a few weeks beforehand so you get the lead up time. If it's the World Cup or the Super Bowl and you have, something Super Bowl themed or World Cup themed, then it's really good to put that up a little bit beforehand, and that you'll be more likely to have advertisers want to put their dollars behind you. Smart. Another thing they were saying was, instead of just saying subscribe, they were saying if you make a fun word, people respond better to it. So if they're like, punch that subscribe button or smash that subscribe button, they actually notice more people subscribe. People like having fun. Imagine that. Another thing they suggested was going to google.com/trends, and that will help you find keywords that are searched the most on that particular day or week that you can put in your videos. So if everyone that week is really for some reason interested in bacon, I don't know, you can put that in your search if it makes sense to your video. Don't use keywords that aren't about your video. It will backfire in the end. Along the lines with brand safety, they were also saying if you want ads on your videos, to make sure that you don't use any kind of kill words, which would have 0 advertisers want to put their funds on your video. So that's, if you have anything in your title that's like death or killing or mutilation, like there's like a bunch of words, shouldn't be a problem, right? Just try not to use those words unless it's really important to what you're doing to use those words. And then also your thumbnails, they can tell if there's like a bloody face or something like that. They're able to pick that up in image scanning, actually. So just make your thumbnails nice and clean, and be true to yourself. If you really need that, if you make horror movies or you review horror movies or something like that, don't change what you're doing, but just be aware that it's going to affect if you're trying to monetize your channel. The last thing that they mentioned that I'll share are 2 new apps that just came out. So there's IGTV, which is Instagram's new video app, and then Adobe Rush, which is a really high quality video editing program we'll be able to do from our phones, tablets, computers, and everything like that, so you don't have to use the whole bulky Premiere Pro, which I'm excited to try, at least for my phone. I love Premiere Pro, but I'm excited for a smaller version. Anyway, really hope this helped anybody who wished that they could go to the conference and is a nerd about this kind of stuff like I am. Like, I want to learn everything I possibly can because I want to make my videos as great as I can and reach as many people as I can. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually go to these kinds of things a lot, never for video creation, usually for music or music business, songwriting. And I was just thinking, like, I'm so lucky that I get the opportunity to go to these kinds of things and learn, that when I do, I think I'm going to try to make videos like this to share with other artists that maybe don't have the same kind of access, whether it's just location or, for whatever reason you can't get there. I think every time I learn something really cool, I'm going to pop on here and share it with you all. So I hope it's helpful. Since I don't have any videos like this, if you want to subscribe, you can right there.